you do need to sacrifice some you time, especially in that first year of business. That is the hardest year. There's a wild stat. I think it's like 50% of startups fail within the first 3 years or something. It might even be more than that. And it's such a crucial part of the company, not just from a building the team perspective, but building the processes and getting customers on board. That's so important to get right early on.
Welcome to You Know What, the podcast for you that dispels the myths and BS in the fitness industry whilst leveling up your A game in everyday life. We are your hosts, Nick Finch and Dan King. Welcome back to You Know What, hosted by myself and Dan King.
What's up?
Today we're thrilled to introduce Jamie, one half of the dynamic duo behind Zappie, fastest growing telecoms company based out of Southampton and possibly even the world. That skyrocketed to £1.7 million in their first trading year. Jamie's operational prowess alongside Mike's sales expertise fused to create a thriving team environment that has driven their company beyond their expectations. Super excited to have you on, Jamie. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Mike has said a lot of great things about you. How are we doing?
Good. Excited to be here. This is quite new to me, so I'm excited what you boys are going to throw my way today.
Welcome to the podcasting world. It's kind of like, I mean, when people first come on a podcast, you've done one before, as we were just speaking about. When people first come on a podcast, trust me, you will ease into it so nicely as well. And as we say, we're here as a light-hearted podcast. This is just easy ears for the listeners, and anyone who's listening who's got any questions, pop it in the comments below as usual.
Nice.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So obviously we love to get started off on these podcasts with a random fact, and we like to ask the guests to do it. So,
Random fact. I am a world record holder.
really?
Interesting.
True fact.
Tell us more.
I am a world record holder for the longest ever indoor football match. 3 whole days playing football.
How did you do that?
So we did 4 hours on, 4 hours off for 3 days.
Bloody hell. And what, you had to stay on the or on or around the pitch?
Yeah.
And you had to kit
So
next
you
to
had
the pitch?
So basically you had the pitch in the middle, and
Yeah.
then you had little bedrooms and stuff by the side of it. So you would play the football for 4 hours, and then you would go off, sleep for 4 hours, eat for 4, whatever, do whatever, and then you would come on, play another 4 hours, and then join again.
What was it?
Does that count as a consecutive, long, does it?
Yeah.
Having 4 hours off. Yeah. So does anyone play in those 4 hours, like when the rest of you are sleeping? Or?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay.
So you basically go in groups. So I played for 4 hours with a group of people, and then another group of people went on, and then they played for another 4 hours. Yeah.
Should we match that and beat 4 hours? 4
I
days?
could not do it anyway.
Really?
Near that anymore. No way.
Can I ask, was it like a recurring scoreline? So did the score just keep going up, or it did?
I think the score ended about 222 to like 240. It was really close.
What team won?
The other team.
No, did they?
Oh.
The other team, mate. It was really close. It came down to the last 4 hours as well.
Oh, I think
And
that's
then
insane.
we were just absolutely annihilated.
Could you imagine if you lost just by one?
Oh, we've been fuming.
What, in the whole game, 232 to 231? You would be livid, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like, there's no extra time, I take it. If you did extra
No.
time,
No, I didn't
you'd be
want
like,
that anyway.
I'm done, I'm going for a beer, I'm finished with this stuff today.
How many people in the game? Like, was it 11 side or?
I think it was 6. I think it was
okay.
5 or 6 aside.
Okay.
And
Nice.
then there was I think 3 groups.
Yeah.
I think from memory.
And so it's world records for what's the company? It's called World
Guinness World Records.
That's the one.
Guinness World Records, yeah.
So I've actually tried to approach them in
Yeah.
terms of a world record myself, right? I found it really difficult. Like, how do you get in touch with these guys?
So it was put on for a company called Teslans.
Yeah.
Tesla Support Project in Southampton. So they deal with sort of loads of underprivileged kids in the area.
Right.
So it was put on for them to raise money for a charity. And yeah, they have a sports centre within Millbrook, I think it is. And then we all basically went there and took part. It was honestly really, really good fun.
Yeah, mate, that's wild.
I'll be up for doing that. You ready for that next year?
Should we do it?
Yeah.
4 days.
Post triathlon, mate.
Wait. What
You did a triathlon?
Yeah. Why? Shall I explain a little bit? Fundamentally, the reason I'm doing it is for charity. There is nothing that motivates me more than doing stuff for other people.
Yeah.
So for me, I know full well if I didn't do it for someone else or some company else, I wouldn't do it. So I'm doing it for charity because I lost my nan before Christmas to pulmonary fibrosis, and because of her being in such a long state of discomfort for years, I was like, well, what can I do that's going to make me extremely uncomfortable? Cardio. So I decided, how can I make this as grueling as possible for myself to kind of replicate what she was going through for a prolonged period of time? do a triathlon. And that's where I am now. So I'm training for a triathlon, bearing in mind all I've ever really done is like bodybuilding and strength. And I'll tell you what, my cardio machine's not bad. It's all right.
Good.
But actually, anyone watching the pod, if you want to donate to the charity, I'd really appreciate it. The target is £1,000 and I'm about halfway there. And that's like 3 weeks in, so I really appreciate everything. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Nick's going to be doing it as well, but he's doing a lot.
I mean, we've got different goals.
Yeah.
So the reason why ours is going to be a world record is because, so I was talking to Rob, obviously Rob's a friend of ours. I think you might even met Rob, maybe.
Essentially, yeah.
He's so we decided that we want to do something crazy, and we thought, what's crazier than doing an Ironman? Oh wait, but Ironman's already been done. People do it all the time. So what's crazier than that? Triple Ironman. Oh wait, but people have already done it. But no one's done a triple Ironman carrying a fridge. So I thought that'd be a great world records Guinness book thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then we tried searching for the fridge, found a Red Bull mini fridge, thinking that would count as a fridge. It's a mini fridge. But then I found it in a kebab shop, and it looked too small. And I was like, "There's no way it's too small. So we need something bigger." So now we're trying to figure out how we're going to be able to carry a full size appliance through, which is about 350 miles of racing. So
I can't wait to be the support team on that one. Just looking at you carrying this full-size fridge.
Yeah.
You are on your own.
Mate, I'm giving you some David Goggins-esque quotes from the side as I'm running. I'm berating you. I'm not going to lie.
Stay hard.
Stay hard. You got it.
I am hard.
I'm carrying a fridge, for fuck's sake.
No, I like physical challenges. I did a marathon in Paris 5 years ago.
How'd you find it?
Tough.
Yeah?
Tough. Similar story. I did it for Alzheimer's Society. My granddad passed away from Alzheimer's, and similar story. I wanted to do something to give back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very tough.
Yeah, it is. Like, I lost my granddad to Alzheimer's too, so I completely can resonate with you there. How tough it is when you see someone deteriorate to the point where they don't know who you are, and it's almost like you've lost someone without losing someone. And it's a big motivator, isn't it? Like, death is a huge motivator for everyone's lives. But it's awesome when you can do something like an ultramarathon, a marathon, anything like that. I mean, I think it's why everyone does it for charity, though, because as I was saying there, I signed up for this triathlon. I knew full well, even in this week, third week or fourth week of training, I could have quite easily gone, nah, not interested. But now I know that I've already got the backing of however many people. You can't back out.
Mate,
So
come on.
So he died shortly, probably about a year or so after I did the marathon.
Mm-hmm.
He had Alzheimer's for a long, long time before that. So I knew I wanted to do something for it. Craziest story, as I finished the finish line, my auntie FaceTimed me, and it was my granddad. And for the first time in like 3 or 4 years, he said my name.
Wow.
As I finished on the finish line. It was the most surreal, like goosebumps moment of my life. It was absolutely incredible. Made it all worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it's mind-blowing when you have that kind of like experience with people. And I mean, it's weird as well. Like, we've spoken about manifestation on the podcast, and there's a lot of belief within the business world about manifestation. Do you think maybe even doing the marathon for what you did, maybe even brought that around to happen later down the line? It was basically leading up to this big moment in your life.
I think I've always wanted to challenge myself, push myself harder. And that's very clear from the stupid challenges that I put myself on. I ran a half marathon up Mount Snowdon. I did the marathon. I did the 3-day football match. And it's quite clear I've always wanted to push myself to do more. Mm-hmm. And I guess that kind of translates into the business and what's happening now.
Yeah.
Yes, we're a startup business, and we've come on board and we've done really well so far, but I just want to continue pushing myself even more, personally and professionally.
Yeah. And to be fair, with the business, mate, wild. 1.7 million. I thought it was, for some reason, I thought it was 1 million. I swear, Jamie.
It was 1 million when you had Mike on the podcast.
Yeah, Mike said it. I think Mike said 1 million.
Later, it's 1.7. What the hell has gone on? Now, obviously, that's a great story. We've talked about it a lot with Mike, so we wanted to try and jump in a little bit differently today. And talk a bit more about the team. But what was it that got you and Mike to get together initially and go, right, let's do something together? Because obviously me and Dan have got very similar ambitions in our own way in terms of Coaching Lab and this podcast. And so we've got our ideas in terms of why we did this. But why did you guys do it?
So Mike and I are actually sort of personal friends. Prior to knowing each other through business, we were both bouncers back in the day.
Very nice.
When I was 18, he was a little bit older, and we were both bouncers on the doors of Southampton. So we knew each other for a long time. And when I was at a previous company where I started my career, he told me to come over to the company where he was at the time as a salesman. He said, give these guys a try. They're doing really, really well. And I did, and I loved it, and I became operations director there quite quickly. And anyway, that sort of came to an end after about 3 or 4 years, and I just had a chat with Michael. We went for a beer just to catch up, and Mike was at the time struggling with his business. He was going through a bit of technical issues. He didn't really have the technical background that I potentially had in my career. So he was really struggling with the support side of things. He was absolutely flying with the sales, but the support side of things he was struggling with a little bit. So we had a chat over a beer and thought, let's do this. Let's give it a go. And the rest is history. Haven't looked back since, really.
Wild, mate. And look where it's led. It's insane. Obviously, one of the main things that I get from your company, which I don't get from a lot of companies, is when you look at your Instagram, the way you talk about it on the stories, etc. It's all about your team. Like, I'm seeing more posted about your team than yourselves, which is quite rare, to be honest with you. I think, like, even me and Dan, we sometimes will get in the habit of posting ourselves because, that's us building it. But it is nice to see the team. So when it comes to building a team culture that helps you drive a business to grow like you did, what are, like, some of the key things that you've noticed as the operational kind of mastermind, should I say, that have helped you to build a team culture?
I think it's very easy to... When you start succeeding in something, it's very easy for ego to take over, and it's quite evident in other businesses. And I just didn't want that to be the case here. With what we're doing, everything is about the team. Everything is about culture and driving us forward. I could tell you a little bit of a story. When sort of the week before our end of financial year, we were all gunning for the same target, which was hitting that 2 million. And everyone, it was crazy to see how everyone was staying behind on their lunch breaks, having a sort of extra half an hour on the phones at the end of the day, doing the installs, getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, getting home at 10 o'clock in the evening, all for us. And that's one thing I say to the team all the time. I'll always reward people for helping us out. They're not just doing it for them. They're doing it for the common goal, which is building Zappie to what it is now. So it's a really, really cool thing to be at. And like I said, the team is absolutely behind everything that we do.
Yeah, mate, that's awesome.
It's incredible. It's like our community, though, with the coaching lab, isn't it? And that's something like, that's almost our team at the end of the day. Our team is the community that we're looking to grow. And the more nurture you give to that community, I always find it's like 10 times back from that kind of little community. I like to always use an analogy like a little ant colony. You have the queen ant who's deciding what's going on. Then all the other ants kind of listen to what's going, but they'll always do whatever they can for those people because they're supplying for the people below. And I think that's something important you have to remember in business and in life. The more you give out to people, like when we do our ultra marathons, like when we do our marathons, triathlons, etc. for charity, the more you give out there, the more you are definitely going to get back. No matter what it comes in forms, you're always going to get that. So it's always keeping that focus. Now for yourself as well, like we said about Zappie, we said kind of like teams, like how big, what is the end goal of how big do you want that team to be?
Oh, good question. We're still trying to work that out, to be honest with you. I think one thing in business is to definitely own up when you make mistakes. But one thing in business is I want to grow I want to grow Zappie to the sky, and I do want to be the largest independent telecom supplier in the whole of the UK. But I want to do it the right way, not just filling the company with sales individuals and making it a massive transactional business where we just have to make deals to get money in and just to pay the staff at the end of the month. I want to make sure we're doing it the right way and doing it for the right reasons. So not just building sales, and then operations just comes up like this. Making sure that the sales team goes in line with the operations team. Because otherwise, if it isn't, things like customer service, things like the product, things like the engineering, they just fall to the wayside. And that's not what I want. So we're trying to do it in a right way. We're trying to build it sustainably. So we've got an office at the moment in Southampton. We'd like to open an office in Manchester later on in this year. But we're just trying to do it the right way.
Do you think, speaking of other telecoms companies then, do you think there's any telecoms companies that have done that recently that you would say are common, well-known brands out there who are doing it?
Done it well?
Yeah, well, done it. I'd say done it not in the way that you're looking at it, because it seems like you're doing it a very ethical way, whereas there's some out there that maybe aren't. Do you think there are some big brands out there that are almost like exploiting the workforce?
Oh, you got the big names like BT.
Yeah.
we are not BT, and we're proud to say that we're not BT. I love going into a customer that's got BT as their supplier because they don't have that personal touch that we do. We want to be a size of company like a corporate company, but not that corporate feel, if that makes sense. We want to maintain that family mentality with all of our customers, with all of our employees, even when we are 200, 300, 400 employees.
That is incredible.
Which could happen this year, potentially, from what I've heard.
Slowly.
I mean, Mike said that you literally just got a 60-person office, right? In
we have, So we're just about to move into the white building.
Nice building.
Which is just in Cumberland Place.
Yeah.
So 60, is that like an entire floor?
Yeah, we've taken the whole 6th floor.
Bloody hell, mate!
Right.
I know the white building. It's massive.
We've got a dining room table. Don't you worry. We're sorted.
We said it, Mike, like where we started, like because you guys started in was it a guest bedroom or something?
My study. My study 14
yeah.
months ago.
Yeah, we started on a sofa, which, to be fair, I don't know if you thought the same thing we did, but you know, it feels so professional when you have that. I'm sure when you had your study, you sat there with that table and you think, this is so professional, it's happening. And you look back on it and it's like, what the hell was that?
But it's looking back at where we've come from and where we've been, it feels incredible. Like I say it all the time in our end of month meetings and stuff. Like we started it literally from a desk like this.
Yeah.
And I look in front of people right now and I just feel so proud because there's now 30 people in front of me. Yeah. It's absolutely incredible.
So I got a deep question. I really wanted Mike for this one because obviously I'm not going to get you guys to talk about each other behind the back. But what is your advice for me and Dan working together to stop us from choking each other out when times go bad, time goes hard?
Have a boxing match.
Yeah. Mike didn't do very well at his last boxing match.
Would you ever do it?
Yeah, no, I actually would.
Yeah.
I actually would, but I would come up with some great Carly.
No, you're fucked, mate. You're going to be facing some 120 kilo beast, man.
Exactly.
Like, fuck.
No, I think Mike and I have very similar but very different personality sort of stances. Mike is within the business. We complement each other quite well. He's kind of very good cop, big puppy dog kind of guy, and I'm sort of more process driven, bad cop kind of thing, and it works quite well. Yeah. So I would say have that right mix between each other, have that sort of separation between your roles, and just get on as friends, and it will work absolutely fine.
Nice.
And we haven't choked each other out yet, so we're doing all right.
Getting there. Just go to Blue Jasmine. That's what you had to say.
Yeah.
Just go to Blue Jasmine every night.
We could do that.
or Figurati.
Figurati. We'll pop down there next week.
Nice. So everyone sees the success of Zappie. Obviously, it's grown very, very quickly. What is probably one of the hardest defining moments on the build-up that made you guys realise that this could go the other way? If you can talk about it.
No, but I'll be completely honest because, like I said, I think it's important in business to understand when things aren't going the right way exactly as planned. I think the most important thing in business is cash flow. Absolutely, especially if you're a growing company, like as fast as we're growing, cash flow is the number one most important thing in any business. So for us, making sure the cash flow was there was massively important. So we've just brought on a financial director. Everything prior to a month ago was all in my head, and it just wasn't sustainable for a long time. We got to 25 employees, a wage bill of £7,500 a month, and it just doesn't make sense for it to all be in my head. So I wanted to separate it, and I wanted to make sure that we had the individual department heads going forward. And the most important hire for us this year was definitely our finance director, because he's come in and absolutely revolutionised exactly what we need. Cash flow forecast, management accounts, everything like that. He's absolutely sorted us out for sure.
With your interview process as well, when you're interviewing these people, is it you are looking for holes in the business then? You're looking for things that need a little bit, not holes necessarily, but they need a little bit of like razzle-dazzle from someone to kind of say, I'm going to add my extra little spin on this that you know I can deliver.
I have a vision for the company of where I want it to be, and I think that was definitely the correct move to do when we started the business with creating the business plan. So from the very beginning, I said, Mike, we're not starting anything before we have a business plan in place, so that at least we could try and follow over the next 12, 24 months. we followed that business plan and way outgrew that business plan. And we revised it again probably about 3 or 4 months ago, and again have followed that exactly to the T of what we said that we were going to do. So I think that's massively important, making sure that you have a business plan, making sure you follow that business plan. You obviously, one of our core values is agility, so making sure we're agile with making decisions and stuff like that. But everything that we've said that we are going to do from a sort of employee standpoint, we've said we have done and absolutely followed through on.
What do you find as well inspired you in this way? Because a lot of people who run businesses, there's something that inspired them to run this business. What for you was the main thing that made you go, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Why don't I start a business?
I was always pretty sort of business savvy. Mm-hmm. From my very first company, starting as an apprentice, I always wanted to own my own business, always wanted to do more, sort of progress where I was. Those opportunities weren't available where I was, so I joined the next company where I got made director of, which was top 3 of the company, and we were about 90, 100 odd employees. So it was really cool sort of to see, and it was very similar sort of growth. Like I joined when we were 14 employees, and we grew up to around sort of 90, 100 or so. So it's sort of very similar. So I guess I've always had that business acumen, that want and that desire to drive forward and succeed. And again, it sort of goes back to what we were saying with regards to the marathons and things like that. That want and desire to do well. Yeah, I would say that.
So you were saying about, obviously, you've always had this business acumen. You've always wanted to grow a business, right? Probably since being a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah? So what I've heard a lot about in podcasts I've listened to is that a lot of entrepreneurs, when they were kids, they would do something entrepreneurial. So when I was a kid, I was drawing Pikachus, Squirtles, selling for 20p. I'm not even joking, man. It was,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I got in 20p. At the time, 20p was a lot. That bought like 5 sweets, man. So I'll trace a picture of Squirtle. I wouldn't even draw it. Trace it, and then I'll start doing units per hour. I started to do like 20 Squirtles an hour. I can make this much money. Started selling them out. Then I got bored. Is there anything that you did that you can look back on?
I wanted to be a YouTuber.
Oh, really?
I'll be honest. Yeah, I wanted to be a YouTuber.
Welcome to YouTube.
I'm not going to name the channel. But I, back in the day, wanted to be a YouTuber. Sort of recorded FIFA videos back in the day. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, from a very, very young age, I was 11, 12.
Yeah. So you're a big football supporter then, are you?
Used to be. Not
Who's
so
your
much any Saints.
Okay.
But I used to be.
Big game tonight.
I don't really sort of look into it anymore, to be honest. I don't really have time. And to be honest.
Why'd you stop?
I just don't. I don't like I don't really like football in general anymore, to be honest. I think the money in football is way too much.
Yeah.
I think the game and the atmosphere has completely changed, and it's just not something I want to be spending my Saturday afternoons watching. I used to follow Saints home and away. I used to absolutely love it when I was 18, going to the pub, going to away days, up on the train. I used to absolutely love it. But it's not.
Apologies for interrupting the podcast today. Thank you so much for tuning in to You Know What. We really appreciate you listening, subscribing, liking and reviewing everything that we're doing. It's so nice to see so many of you interacting with our podcast as it grows. If you didn't already know, me and Nick have one of the fastest growing online coaching platforms on the planet, and we'd love to get you involved. We're looking for ambitious people looking to grow their careers and grow their experience in health and fitness. Me and Nick have over 10 years of working experience in the fitness industry, and we'd love to help you achieve the results that you've always wanted. Make sure to contact either Coach Dan King or Get Fit by Nick, or even just check the link in our bio to the podcast now. We'd love to hear from you.
For me anymore.
I can understand that. I was having a conversation with someone about this. We're both Liverpool supporters, so Liverpool Saints. That's tonight. But I spoke to someone the other day, and I completely agree with your points there, because it has become a different culture with football. Like, I was on a train coming back this Saturday, and I was on the train full of Millwall fans. Yeah. Now, let's be honest, of most fan bases that I don't want to be on a train with, it's Millwall fans. But it also depicts, is like, how bad is the worst support? Well, they're not worst supported club. They're very well supported. It's just the supporter base they have that makes you feel uncomfortable being on a train with them. And now if we looked at kind of the dynamic of life, I shouldn't feel that way when I'm on a train with football fans. It should be a good laugh, if anything. But they were literally just like kids not knowing personal space, people jeering and shouting when people were getting on off the train, making people feel uncomfortable. And for me, it's like, you wouldn't get that with rugby.
No, that's what I was about to say to you. You don't get that with rugby.
No.
I've never met a crowd of rugby people, fans that are that bad. they're all generally quite happy with each other. It's weird.
Someone explained football as almost the Roman Colosseum of the modern day.
Yeah.
Which is a good way to look at it. Football players are like gladiators, and you have the crowd that watch. Because it is like that, isn't it? Like, and it makes... I think it's almost getting a difficult watch for people. I don't end watching a football game on TV happy, apart from the Carabao Cup win. That was great. But I don't normally end happy. I sit there and go, well, I just watched something for an hour and a half and I don't feel any better for it. So it is an interesting point to raise because there's a lot of football fans out there. It's the most watched sport in the world. But the same thing applies. Different fan bases occur differently. I think that actually comes back to business as well. It's those different teams in business, isn't it? Because almost I think BT's values have maybe not gone askew, but because they are so big now, they just care less. And big clubs like Liverpool, City, stuff like that, they do care about their fan base, but less so than, say, if you go and watch Eastleigh play, who played in the FA Cup recently. Yeah. And it is that kind of care and nurture, isn't it?
The thing is, though, it's easy to lose that family feeling that you wanted to keep your business when you grow, right? Because when you get to that level and you've been BT's been around for 50 years, 60 years, longer?
Long time.
Yeah. So they've got a whole board of investors and stakeholders. They want to see profit. They want to see the figures going up and up and up. They start losing sight of the main thing that drove the business in the first place, right? Yeah. So, 100%.
So we've just sponsored AFC Tottenham, so we're one of AFC Tottenham's main sponsors down in at their ground, and we're going down there tonight. And do you know what? I prefer going to watch AFC Tottenham now than I do Saints, just because it's that fun family atmosphere. We have a sort of seat in the box up at the top. And it's just fun. It's just nicer atmosphere. You get to speak to other people. People on a level with you, and it's just a lot better than going to watch Saints nowadays, to be honest.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I got bored watching a Saints game. I went and saw them play Arsenal, and it's like, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, nothing's happened for the last 30 minutes of my life.
I was sat there last year. I never go to a stadium. Probably like 10 years ago. I went there to Saints versus Manchester in the last league. And Manchester, this tiny little segment over there, Southampton's completely surrounding it, and then basically I'm hearing more from the Manchester section than the Saints side. And I saw Ronaldo obviously running on the pitch, which was nice before he moved on. But
it's an interesting dynamic. Now we've spoken kind of about where you're looking for direction and vision with the company, but if you were looking down on your life, what you've done so far and achieved to get to where you are now and growing a team that you have, what is kind of one concrete piece of advice you'd give to someone who's out there starting their own business and they're in a position where they want to make good growth for the team? What would you suggest they do?
If you haven't got the drive and the will to put 14, 16, 18 hours in a day, don't do it. Simple as that. To get to where Zappie has so far, we've had to do those 14, 16, 18 hour days consistently for the past, 14 months? So if you haven't got that drive, if you haven't got that will and that determination to move forward and continue to progress it forward, don't do it. It's as simple as that. We wanted to do that. Mike and I, we've wanted to do that day in, day out because we see the wider vision of the company. We see where it can possibly get to. We've got such a good opportunity with what's on the table at the moment. We're absolutely willing to put that in play because once I have the department heads on board, at that point I could take a little bit of step away and then hopefully turns that 14, 16, 18 only turns into sort of 12-hour stays.
Is that where it is now? 12-hour days.
We're still at about 14 hours, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Getting done. Good.
Do you find it difficult? We always say this as people who run businesses, but it is a difficulty to switch off because it's almost a different dynamic on a business when you just go in, work a set number of hours, come home. And I had a client turn around to me the other day and said, "You know what, Dan? Your job's actually quite difficult." I'm like, "Why are you saying that? I'm only in for like 5 hours today." He's like, "Yeah, but you have to be switched on from 6:30 to 7:30, and you have to be on it. If you're not on it, you deliver poor quality, you lose clients, you don't make money." And I think that's probably the same in your sense. You've got to be switched on for those 14 hours to deliver what you need to deliver. Do you ever need that? Do you ever find plan in your own chill time, or is it very much like 100% business in a way?
So sort of previously up to now, I've been out on the road selling as well. So that selling is very similar to that PT, sort of that dedication and that full focus for that hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it may be. So during a sales demo, basically, you'll go out, you'll drive to the appointment 2 hours away, you'll sit down with that customer, and then you put on a performance for the next 2 hours about why Zappie is the best, why Zappie's product is the best, and why you should come to us and try and sell it on the day. So it's very similar in terms of like you said, that PT, that sort of the dedication and that concentration for those full hour or 2 hours. In terms of chill time, there isn't much at the moment. But what I would say is work hard, play hard, and I think that's very important from a business owner's perspective. Work hard, do everything that you need to do during the week, but make sure you have some downtime during the weekend. So I do like to work hard during the week, but I also do like to play hard, whether that's going out with the missus on the weekend, whether that's going out for a few drinks with my friends. I do like that kind of separation. I think that's really important for business owners, especially in this sort of busy environment that they would find themselves in.
That's also, and what's also interesting as well is that I think, if I remember correctly, you told me over there that you haven't done much in terms of your health the last year and a half, and you're trying to look at now.
No. So, right? I mean, driving up and down the country, all you see is about 50 McDonald's arches every single day, and it does get very tempting.
Because if you look at from a performance standpoint, right, you should, they say you should have 8 hours sleep, you should have cold showers in the morning, you should go to the gym, train 3 days a week, all this stuff, and you did the opposite of that, and you work 8-hour days, you're at McDonald's on the way up, driving up and down, and you grew. So you're a testament that it's not all about that necessarily, but going forward.
But that's not sustainable.
No.
That is, you can keep that up for a period of probably a month, and then you would get really ill. I have found myself continuously doing in cycles. I'd work myself into the ground, then I would get ill, and I would be off work for a day. And this is the first year. I've never had a sick day in my life. And then last year, and when I had my own business, I had 3 or 4 sick days where I just could not get out of bed.
Yeah.
So it's important to have that downtime, and that's one thing that I reflected upon at the end of last year, was that I needed to have my own downtime. I needed to make sure that my weekends, I don't necessarily work as hard. I do have that downtime. I do go out and go for walks with the missus, that kind of thing. So it's not just work.
Good.
It's difficult getting a balance between the two things, isn't it? It's very easy to become hyper focused on what you want to achieve and the goal you want to achieve, and you find it very much from that kind of building your business. It needs to be done. Do you think in a way you have to have that phase though, where you almost just everything? This is an interesting thing, more from my thought process. A lot of business gurus out there will tell you need to kind of reduce the amount of something in your life, whether that's social, whether it's relationships, whether it's health, to then grow something like a business. Do you agree with that statement that you need to almost pull something back to then give more to something else?
100%.
Okay.
You do need to sacrifice some you time, especially in that first year of business. That is the hardest year. There's a wild stat. I think it's 50% of startups fail within the first 3 years or something. It might even be more than that. And it's such a crucial part of the company, not just from a building the team perspective, but building the processes and getting customers on board. That's so important to get right early on. And again, that's probably one thing that we didn't do right early on, was the processes. We said that we wanted to do it, but then we were just firefighting the whole time because we were just growing so quickly. Whereas what we should have done is get the processes sorted out from the very, very beginning, so that we're not looking like busy idiots all the time. We're actually following the right process. We're more efficient in our day-to-day.
Yeah, so it's a little bit like you course corrected more than you had anything to set that was taking you forward.
100%.
You were just taking it as you go, basically. What do they call it, rolling with the punches? That feels like pretty much what our company felt like, especially at the beginning. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously it helped that you guys had some experience in telecoms beforehand, right? Because this wasn't your first telecom company role, yeah?
No.
So for those that obviously are trying to create a business based on, for example, crypto billionaire guys, they will tell you, do this crypto deal, and they get consumed by it. Yeah, you can probably make some money out of it if you dive into it properly.
My Bitcoin's up 15% in the last 24 hours.
It's crazy. It's crazy, yeah. I heard some conspiracies about Bitcoin, but it's so hard to know what to believe these days. So you a holder, are you?
I am.
Diamond hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
God damn it!
Paper.
What have I got? Maybe some euros at home.
What year did you buy?
So I was back in 2017, and then I sold loads.
No way.
I sold it all, and then Went into, can I swear?
Yeah, of course you can.
They're called shit coins.
Yeah.
Back in the day, so like Safe Moon, Safe Mars, things like that. And then I built up enough money to actually buy my house deposit.
What?
Or to have enough money for a house deposit. Took all of that out and then did the house, and then I've got back in probably about 8 months ago.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
So yeah, quite happy with that.
So you're gonna hold until what? You got 10 years time, 20 years time.
So you got the halving coming up in a couple of months. So
What's that mean?
Basically, there's a Bitcoin halving going up. So all I know is the money's going to go up. That's the main aim.
Okay.
That's the main aim.
Is this financial advice?
Invest in
This
Bitcoin.
is not financial advice.
It's interesting because I've never even delved into it. At the start of this year, I was like, maybe I'll do some stocks. Maybe I'll start doing some stocks, put my money somewhere.
Yeah.
But then also, it's such a minefield with stuff like that as well, isn't it? Because there's just so many. Like, do you know Mark Tilbury?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mark Tilbury talks a lot about stocks and investing into stocks and making money. The big thing that I have almost like an ultimatum in my head is like, this money you put in there, but you won't technically see for 40 years. And that's the problem I have. It's like, I know I'll have it in 40 years, but I don't want it in 40 years. I want it in 20 years, which is where the problem comes for me. I'm like, this money I could then put somewhere. So here's an interesting question. Would you prefer to invest money into your business, probably a silly question, or invest money into Bitcoin that you'd see sooner?
Absolutely, the business.
Yeah.
Absolutely the
Yeah.
business. Yeah. The business is for me. I'm doing it for the long run. I'm not in it for short term gain. The business for me is my retirement fund. I don't ever intend of selling Zappie. I want to continue going exactly the way that we are. Like I said, building a sustainable company rather than a transactional company. And yeah, there's
That brings me to a point, actually. You said about where you want Zappie to get to. Now, what is your 5-year plan with Zappie? Where do you want it to be in 5 years' time? So we're talking 2029 into 2030.
Yep.
Where do you want Zappie to be?
I'd like to have 2 offices, like I said, across Southampton and Manchester. So Southampton being the HQ, and then Manchester being a satellite office. I'd like at some point to potentially go up to Glasgow, maybe over to Belfast as well, but only if it's right to do at the time. This is the importance of doing the business plans that we're doing at the moment, because everything is changing literally on a daily basis, so it's so hard to plan, and my FD is saying exactly the same thing. It's so hard to forecast what you guys are going to be doing, because sometimes you're like this, sometimes you're like that, and it's such a roller coaster. But in terms of sort of 5-year forecast, I just want to build a sustainable company with a good customer base, a recurring customer base, so you can keep tapping into customers, keep renewing the customers because they're happy. We've got a good product, we've got a good service. The customers are happy, and they're happy to renew with you. So to answer your question, there's no specific employee headcount, there's no revenue figures, anything like that in mind at the moment. It's just I want to build a sustainable company that's got really, really good cash flow, and continually growing.
Lovely. And with that being said, obviously, there's no figures in mind when you say that. Was there a rumour that potentially you'll be getting to 10 million this year?
New target is 8.
8.
Eight.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
you
a
surpassed the last
conservative target is 8. Yeah.
Bloody hell. Fair enough.
I'd
mate,
like
fair
to
enough.
get to 10, but the conservative target is
That'd
8.
be good, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It would be nice.
Right, this is completely off topic,
Go
but
on.
I've dived into your website,
Yeah.
Jamie, because I just wanted to read more about it, obviously. There's an About Us section, which is cool, because, it really highlights the team and some of their interests and stuff. Now, dad jokes. Now, there's a lot of dad jokes out there, but I'll let you say it. Do you remember it? Or
What do you call a Mexican with a rubber toe?
what?
Roberto.
No, I saw that.
That's a good joke.
I think Mike's was...
What's Mike's?
Mike's was, did you hear the rumour about butter? Well, I'm not going to spread it.
That is awful.
That is terrible, is it?
What's your best dad joke?
What was it? I left as a set designer. I left without making a scene.
I've got one.
Silence.
You ready for this?
What's up?
What do you get when you cross goat DNA and human DNA?
Oh, this sounds wrong, mate.
Go on.
Kicked out of a petting zoo.
Oh, we're going that way. Right? Oh, okay.
I could go dirty, but
They're my strongest ones, to be honest. There's some in there that I'm definitely not saying on camera.
Let's not get cancelled.
No, it's not get cancelled. But it does show. It goes to show how much of a team you have there, with kind of people just wanting to share these things with you as well. And it's great to see that from a community standpoint as well. I think it brings that kind of process of like, we're a welcoming company. We're not here just to take your money and then start flinging flyers through your door and then bounce out the door later down the line.
So one thing that we're all about is having other people to use Zappie for their own vehicle for success. It says that on our website, and that couldn't be any more relevant at the moment. With every single person that comes on board, they have a dedicated learning budget, is what we call it. So if they want to do a course, if an engineer wants to do a CCNA course to understand a little bit more about networking, then we'll pay for that, for them to do that. We're doing something at the moment where we do a morning meeting every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And something from my perspective is I wasn't very confident until I started my own business. Like, even when I was operations director, I stood in front of people and sort of spoke and tried to speak to people about the company, about my team, that kind of thing, but I wasn't very confident. And I didn't really have any sort of direction of where I needed to be. So something that we're doing at the moment for our morning meetings is every single day a new person stands up to talk about Zappie, about their journeys, just so it gives them the confidence of public speaking, because I think that's a really important thing, especially for someone that doesn't have necessarily that management experience. Public speaking is a massive thing, and I think it's a really good attribute to have in any individual.
I think that's something we're looking at. Like, long-term goal for me is I want to get in front of 100,000 people in a crowd and be able to talk in front of it. Like we've said about this before, the goal this year is to get on stage to at least 100 people and talk to those people and give as much information, because I think when you can get to that point where you're speaking in front of people feeling confident, the way I like to look at it now, I mean, to be brutally honest, mine's not down to confidence, mine's just down to opportunity at the minute. Like, I could do that. I could quite easily get on stage because I chat shit. I can talk to a brick wall if I want to. But like, it's so important, I think, that people have faith that you are able to talk in front of people and show your true acumens without getting the backlash. Because I think in today's society, people think they're going to be spoken down to immediately, and they're not. Everyone raises you up. Like in the gym, if you're walking around the gym and someone comes, I saw one of the PTs today offering to help two girls who were struggling with their hip thrust. Now, a lot of people would be scared about going into that opportunity. PC didn't care, walks over and goes, look, you ladies need help, I'm going to help you. If you think I'm weird, you think I'm weird, but then we walk away from it. And I think so many people are scared about the backlash and the ridicule rather than pursuing what they want to pursue.
The best way to learn is to be taken out of your comfort zone and to do something that you're not necessarily used to doing. And I think that's what I want to do in my position is give people that platform to learn and to progress in ways that they're not usually used to.
No, I love that approach, mate. I love that approach. And you're so right about obviously facing your fears. Like, there's a saying that obviously you should be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the way to grow. A lot of people do like to stay in a comfort bubble. I'm the same. I'm not going to say that I'm anything special in that regard. I love being comfortable, and it only takes certain things in your life to go wrong that you realise actually it's because I'm avoiding things. And the only way to not avoid things is to start taking action towards them again. So yeah, I totally agree, mate. I love the philosophy, the team company. It's nice to have you on, man. Finally,
thank you.
I wish Mike was here, just to like
He's
obviously.
a busy man.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's just a baby now, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he has.
Yeah.
I think he's loving dad life.
Is he?
Yeah, he's loving dad life.
Oh, bless him. It's always good. But no, we've appreciated you coming on today as well. We'll wrap up the podcast there because we've got an unholy amount of equipment to take down today. But we really appreciate you coming on. Now, obviously, we always plug businesses at the end of it. So then with our viewership that we have, people can come to you and hopefully help you obviously grow even further. So plug away, my friend.
So we're Zappie.
Yeah.
If you haven't known already, we are a telecoms company based in Southampton. So if there's anyone that wants advice or a telephone solution, connectivity products, Wi-Fi products, anything like that, I'm always happy to lend a hand in hand. Hand in hand?
Hand in hand, yeah, helping hand.
Helping hand, that's the one.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for watching, guys. We appreciate you watching. Make sure to leave a review on our Spotify. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed, because we appreciate everyone on here. We're nearly at the big follower count we're looking towards, but you guys have got to check out our actual socials for that one. And we'll catch you guys later.
Ciao, ciao.
Cheers.